Hello, and welcome to another tech demo. In this one today, we are going to be practicing using expressions. First, we'll take a look at it with C Sharp, and then we will take a look at it using visual scripting here in the Unity Editor interface. All right, so to begin with, I'm going to create an empty game object to attach my code to. So create an empty game object, and I'm going to name this profile object. And as usual, I'm going to create a new C# script to add to that by going to the inspector and typing in script or looking for new script. And I'm going to label this one. We'll call this one profile logger. And I can see that that dumped that after it finishes compiling. It dumped it directly in my assets. So I'm going to go ahead and organize that once this is done by putting that into my scripts folder so I keep my project tidy. So when I've got that in there, it's time to take a look at the code that we need to do in order to be able to set this up to ask and profile people for some type of game. So we're going to go ahead and click on Profile Logger. We'll open this up, and we're going to be greeted with the usual default code inside of here. So what I'm really going to do is kind of set this up to ask just some fun like icebreaker info if it was being used in like a meeting or so forth. So name, age, favorite color, maybe the number of years that they've been coding, whether or not they like cats, possibly a fun fact about themselves. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to declare all those variables first. So I'm come in here, and at the very beginning, before I get into the start or update, right here, I'm just going to declare my variables. So let's go ahead and do that right now. And I'll just say these are going to be my profile variables with a comment. Keep my code usable for people coming back into this. That way, if I'm working with others, they know what I'm trying to do here. And I'm going to make these all public in the C# so they're editable inside the inspector. So first one I'm creating is a public string called the name, and I can set it to just a random person's name to begin with, and then go from there. So I'll say public string name is Lena, and let's set an age field. Another public. This one's going to be just an integer. We won't take decimals, make people do math for their age, so just round it up to whatever age they feel is closest. And we'll say Lena is a typical student of about 20. All right. Now, how about a favorite color? And we'll set that. That's, again, a string value. And we'll say she likes teal. Also, we need to know how many years she's been coding. So we'll let her have a little bit of flexibility on that. We'll say it's a float. And we'll set to 1.5. Now, remember, when you're setting float values, you have to add the letter F at the end of it using C#. That way it knows it is a float value. If you don't, if you forget that, you'll get an error. Kind of a easy mistake to make when you get used to working with integers all the time. And we'll do a basic Boolean to see if she likes cats or whoever it is that's taking this profile quiz. Whether or not they like it, they can answer true or false. And we'll say that she does. And last, we will have a fun fact field. That'll be another string. And maybe she can do something fun like juggle. All right, now that we've declared all our variables, we need to set up our code. And what we are going to do in this is we are going to set up just a series of output. Since we've made all those variables public, she'll be able to, inside the inspector, set them, or whoever our public person is, if you were sharing this this code or this program with somebody else, they'll be able to enter it into the inspector. So we're just going to have this print out on start, and we will use the debug log function along with a string format function and method to be able to access each one of those variables. And that looks something about like this. So output number 1. And this was our most complex one because we're going to add 2 different outputs inside one. And this is just our usual debug log from some of our earlier tech demos and such. We're just going to take it a step further, and we're going to use the string.format method inside this, which allows us to expand on it like so. And what I'm expanding on is this part right here. I'm going to put a little placeholder in here with this curly bracket and the number 0. And what that is, oops, I said favorite color. We're going to do name first. My name is, and what that's going to do is it's going to look for some values that I put at the end of this, but I want to also say how old they are. So I'm going to do a comma, and put a second placeholder in here for the second one. Now notice that we start at 0 for the first one, and 1 is the second one. It's kind of how binary and code works. We start from 0. We don't start from the number 1. So if you need the first entry inside of a field or an array, it's usually number 0. Second one is number 1, so forth. A little wonky at first, but once you understand it, you'll always think, okay, 0 is where we start. Do that there. And now I'm going to put in what those are. And you can see it's already kind of prompting me for what are those fields to look into the placeholder. Now I could put in something in quotes and have it be static, but I want to actually take advantage of those variables that I put up there. So I'm actually going to type in name for the first value and age for the second. And then I got to make sure I have all of my parentheses closed. So closing that one for the format, closing this one for the debug log, and of course ending my statement with the semicolon. So this is going to look at the code, and it's going to look right here and go, okay, got a placeholder 0. Placeholder 0 is using this one. Placeholder 1 is going to this one. And these are all referring to the variables that we've already declared, such as your age and your name right up there at the top, right? So once we kind of got that format, we can copy and paste this a couple times and then just edit it out, saving ourselves some typing script. So that's what we'll do right now. Let's go ahead and copy this. We have 5 bits of output that we're going to do. So I'm going to copy it and then edit it. Just make sure you check your spelling when you do this. So we will change this, and output number 2 be my favorite color. And I don't need this because we're only going to have 1 argument. Don't need that. And you'll notice how this has changed all orange. It's because when I deleted that out, I accidentally deleted my quote. So I need to end that right there, and watch where you put that quote on which side of the print, or on which side of the comma there. And then I need obviously to have the corresponding what's my favorite color, which is called favorite color. And I can see that it's prompting here, so I can just click that to fill that in quickly for me. And moving on down, third one, we're going to say this is output number 3, years coding. Jump right over here, change that to 3. And this time I'll not delete the quote. And we'll change this to I've been coding for this many years. And then of course, change over here to the correct variable, which is years coding. You can see it pops up right there. So I just did it. All right. Output number 4, we change that as well. Pop this right up in here. This is going to be whether or not they like cats. This down. So, and we'll say like cats, yes or no. Again, change our variable to the correct variable to fill that placeholder. And last but not least is a fun fact about them. So we'll say, all right, fun fact. And we'll edit this out right here. Something simple enough like that. And I accidentally took my placeholder out, so I put my placeholder back in there. And again, give it the correct variable. And I can see I have an error up there because I just saw that said string fun fact, and we need to go correct that right now. Right here, and pop that out. And it kind of gave me a clue because you'll see when you have a variable that you call that's already been declared, you see how it highlights the boxes. So that kind of gave me an idea that, oh, my variable's missing, and it allowed me to catch that typo from earlier. All right, so I checked the rest of my code, make sure I did not miss anything else up. Let's see. That looks good. That looks good. I don't need the update function, so I can take that out of here. We're just going to do this on start. So my code looks good. So let's save it. Go test it. All green. That looks good. So back over here. Click. Wait for it to compile. And we'll jump over to the console here. We'll click on the profile object. And check this out. Once you've set that up with all those public variables, so when you use the C# script, you'll see that it's actually created all these entry fields for us to use because we made them public. So there's name, there's age, favorite color, years coding, and so forth. So we can change them, but let's go ahead and see what it does with the default. It should have the values that we've set as the declaration of those variables and initialize them. We'll hit start. For it to file, and we'll remove our drawings like so. And sure enough, we can see right here that we have a printout that says, I'm Lena, I'm 20 years old, favorite color, coding, true, and I can juggle. Excellent job, everyone. You've managed to do it. But also check this out. While we are playing, you can actually come over here to the right and you can modify these because you've made these public variables. But if I say change this to Bob and press enter, because this only happened on start, I don't see anything to update. To stop your playback, notice that it switched back to Lena. So while the editor is in play mode, if you change variables or edit code, just be aware, if you stop playback, you're going to lose what you edited. So make sure you always stop playback first before you make changes to your code. And the reason why they do that is so that you can debug things if you have set them on an update. But in this case, since it is only at the start of the game, wasn't very useful to us. Let's say I make this Bobby, and he's 45, and he likes, let's say, black. And he has 3 years of coding, 3.2, and he still likes cats, but he, maybe he likes football too. All right. And we hit play, and we'll watch. I didn't clear out my console, so I should have done that. It'll have the details from there. But notice that now we have gotten a new update. It's Bobby, he's 45 years old, and he has all his favorites right over here. So great job. Our C# code is working. Now let's switch gears and jump over to working with Visual Script to do the same thing. All right, now I've reset the scene here. Now let's take a look at doing the same type of profile object, but using visual scripting instead. So we're going to need another game object to create an empty game object here. We'll call this one profile2. And it, of course, is going to need its script machine being a visual game object. And I am going to switch that to embed. And let's open up its graph because we have a number of variables and such that we need to create in here. So in here, in the Blackboard, of course, if you still are getting your feet under you, Blackboard right here, this is where we're going to declare our variables. And we're still creating these as graph variables. If we wanted them to be public and specific to the object, we could do them inside the object. But for now, we'll do it inside the graph variables, and we'll look at everything within the graph itself. Excuse me. All right. So let's go right here. And we will create the same type of variables. We will need a name, and we will name these all number 2 so as to, again, not conflict with our C# one. So we'll have a name, and we'll set the types here in a minute. But let's go ahead and get them all out here. Age 2. Favorite color 2. Here's coding 2. Likes cats 2. And of course, our fun fact 2. Now I need to give them some type of values, otherwise I'll run into errors later on. So name is going to be a string. And let's say this is Bob. Age needs to be an integer, and we'll say Bob is 25. Favorite color needs to be a string. Let's say favorite color is green. Here's coding, needs to be a float. Let's say he's had 4.3 years of coding. Likes cats is a Boolean, and let's say he doesn't like cats because Bob likes to be different, and we want to see a difference between him and the previous one. And a fun fact about Bob, we'll put a string in here as well, and we'll say fun fact about Bob is has green hair as well. Here. Say I have green hair as well. All right, so that's Bob's defaults there. So what we need to do is we need to be able to get this set up for a lot of stuff. We're not going to need the on update, so we'll go ahead and clear that out. We're going to need a lot of space, and I'm going to pull our on start over here to the far left-hand side. And what we're going to need is we're going to need a sequence node because we need these to go in a particular order this time. We want to start with his name and his introduction. We don't want him to be like, likes cats, and we don't know who you are. So we're going to add that node now. So basic sequence node, and we know we have 5 steps. We're going to have to change that from 2 to 5. And like I said, it's going to get kind of busy in here. So we're going to go ahead and connect the on start to our sequence and go, all right, what is our first one? Our first one, we're looking at finding out what's his name. So we are going to create the pieces for that. So we need a string format node similar to our C# one. So we'll go string format. And because the name has 2, it's going to be different. We're going to choose the one that has our 2 arguments inside there. So string format right there. And we are going to connect that first sequence right in here. And you'll see it turn orange because it's not happy until we tell it how we want to format it and we give it all the arguments that we set in there. So I'm going to copy and paste this in here, same as we had before. You'll see it here once I paste it in. Essentially, it's hi, my name is placeholder number 1, which is the brackets in the 0, comma, I'm 1, which is the placeholder for how many years old. Now I need to actually set up the connections for 0 and 1. And this makes it a little bit easier than the C# as far as the correlation, because you can see it's looking for argument 1 and argument 2 right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the nodes for that. So let's get a variable right now for the age node and the name node. So a name comes first. So let's right click, add a node. We're going to get the variable, and this is going to be our name. And we're going to put that into argument one because he's looking to say, hi, my name is, and this is his variable. So next we need to have, we're going to pull these up here because we're going to need lots of space for all of them. Let's go ahead and say add get a variable here, adding that node in there, and this is going to be its age. We'll put that right in here. All right, and now it's happy because it's got here all this. Now, one more thing we're going to need. This is going to get all that data, but we're not going to see it inside the console unless we put a debug log of some type out here. So we can at least just print this to screen with a simple debug log at the end. So we'll just do a debug log message and just literally one-to-one connect these up so that you see that printed. You'll see how it's orange until you feed it the data too. And that'll allow you to see the hi, my name is, it'll look at 0 and it'll return what name 2 is, which should hopefully be Bob. And I'm 1, which is age 2, and it'll look at age, say 25 years old, and that's what it'll print out for number 1. Now we need to do this for the rest of our process here. So I'm going to go ahead, since the rest of them are 1 nodes, we'll do a string format one more, and then we'll copy for the rest of them. So string format. And we only need 1 argument for the rest of these, so we'll pop this here. And we need 4 more of those. So I'll go ahead and do Control C, Control V, and just paste these down so that we've got these all ready to go for us, like so. And using those lovely shortcuts when we can. All right. Here, so it's a little more space between them. We're gonna have wires everywhere, guys. All right. So let's connect sequence number 1 into this next one. It's orange because we haven't finished it, and we need to say what we're doing in output 2. And this is my favorite color, so I'm going to go ahead and put that information in the format here. And you can see my favorite color is, and then I've got the number, so I need to create a variable. And in this case, not created, but I'm going to create a node to get the variable. And I'm going to get what the favorite color is. So let's grab favorite color number 2. There it is right there. Awesome. Connect that in. And likewise, we can copy and paste the debug log here as well to get a couple of those, save us a few mouse strokes, and connect that across so that we see that printed out. Excellent. All right, moving down to our third one. Our third one is looking at years coding. So we will go ahead and fill that line in as well. Format is, I've been this many years of coding. Like so, I've been coding for 0 format years. I'm going to move this out a little bit because we're going to have to put the get variable here, right here in the way. So add nodes, get variable. Once again, you kind of start to get the pattern here, guys. And you can have had many, many sequences and sequences within sequences to kind of control this. But I feel like this is more than enough to get point across and not get too busy. So we pop that in here, and it's okay. You can overlap these because it really only cares where they're connected. So it's okay if you're running out of space, just gonna plop this over the lines. They still go where they're supposed to. And we can copy and paste a new debug log and have its output printed in this one. And again, it's going to go on start, and it's going to start from the top and go all the way down to the bottom like so. Fourth one, of course, what do we have up next? We need to know if they like cats. So we will put that format string in here, right here. And we will send the flow, which is the green arrows, into that. And of course, we need to have this so it's not orange. We need to get the variable for whether or not they like cats. Fill that in. And of course, we're going to, once again, copy paste that debug log there so we can see the printout whether or not they like cats. Like so. And last but not least, we need to know, do they have a fun fact about themselves? So we'll paste our last bit of format in here, which is just us saying, what is the fun fact? And then the number. So we say fun fact, and then tell us your fun fact. Take the last sequence into that, and we need the variable for that. So we will get the variable for fun fact. Too fast. Fun fact. All right. So we take that, connect that in. We need one more debug log to see it printed in our console. I'm going to drag that down right here to connect them all up. All right. So at the end, we can zoom out a little bit, holding down the control key, and you can kind of see this here. So I'm just going to clean some of these guys up here just to kind of get it all aligned so you see how this looks in a grand scheme of things. We have 5 format strings going across here. This all starts, of course, with on start right here. And then we get the variables for each of these, and we can pull these over so you can see them. So this is kind of how this works. On start goes, and it starts a sequence. It goes to the top sequence, says, all right, we have a string that says, hi, my name is 0 and 1. 0 is argument 0, 1 is argument 1, and it's going to output that, and so on and so forth down the line. Now we already have our C sharp in here too, so we should get 2 variations. Since I already used the name Bob, let's change Bob's name real quick. Let's make this Mary so that we have a very distinct name. And now let's test our code out. So I'm just going to move this down over here. We'll hit play, and we'll jump over to our console once it's done compiling. And we can see here, if I move this a little bit further out of the way, that yes, we have, hi, my name is Mary. My favorite color is green. I've been coding for 4.3 years. Likes cats false. And fun fact, I have green hair. And then we see, hi, my name is Bobby. I'm 45, and so forth. So we've completed creating the same type of profile functions and using expressions, both using C# and using visual scripting inside Unity. Thanks, you guys have made it through this section. Look for our next tech demo and have a great week. Thanks. Bye.